Channel. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make this pencil skirt with the flounce on one side. So the first thing you're going to do is just to cut out your pattern. So I have my pattern here, and then you're just going to cut your basic the width here, and I'm using, it depends on you, your hip measurement is going to be the width of your fabric. So you have the waist, the hip I'm working with, that's the widest part of the lower body, is 36, divided by 4 is 9, and then plus extra 1 inch of seam allowance. So that's why my width here is 10. So just do the same, whatever your hip is, divide it by 4 and add 1 inch for your seam allowance. That will be the width of the fabric. Then you check what you want the length to be, right? So whatever you want the length of the skirt to be, minus the inch for the band, because remember you still be adding a band here, whatever, maybe 2 inches of the band, you're going to subtract that. So let's say my skirt is going to be 20 inches in total. I'm going to remove 2 inches for my band, so I have 19 inches left. So the body of this 18 inches left. So the body of the skirt is going to be 18 inches. Then I'll add my 1 inch of folding the edge, and then my half an inch of attaching the band to the top part of the skirt. So now I'm going to go ahead and start inserting my measurement. You first go to the waistline, and then you're going to mark your waist divided by 4. So the waist I'm working with is 28, divided by 4 is going to be 7. I added 1 inch of seam allowance here, and then 1 inch of 1 inch of darting. So 1 inch of darting, 1 inch of seam allowance. Then come down here and mark your waist to your hip. So the waist to hip I'm working with here is 9. For some people it can be 10. So you're going to go ahead and mark a straight line across. So this is going to now be the hip line. So now on the hip line, all you have to do is just divide your hip by 4, which is, for me, is 9, plus 1, which is 10 here. So the hip divided by 4 is 9 inches. Then plus the 1 inch of seam allowance, which is here. So now on the lower part of the skirt, you're just going to take that same measurement you have here, subtract 1. Sometimes if the skirt is longer, you might want to subtract like 1.5. It depends on the length of the skirt you're working with. If it's like knee length, just subtract 1 inch, it will do. So now the next thing you have to do is just come down here 1 inch before your hip line, and then connect these two together. So guys, I've connected this to the 1 inch I came down, but I don't connect directly to your hip line because it makes it pointy. So you have to come down 1 inch so that the line can blend in slowly, like not be a sharp line. So then you connect from here down to this point. So then I'm going to just mark 4 inches in here, or you can use 3.5 if the person is on a smaller size, and then mark the line. On that same line, you're going to come down by about 5 inches or so, and then just mark half an inch on the other side. This is basically our dart. Guys, the main purpose of this is just to show you guys how to attach the flounce. I already have a tutorial on how to cut a pencil skirt on my channel. So the next, you also cut the back and the front together. So you see I have my back panel here. So now the next thing I have to do is just to cut out the side. So guys, you see I've cut everything. For the back, I have about 1.5 inch of extra fabric pattern here just for my zip allowance. So I'm going to set the back aside because it's the front we are working with. So now with the front panel, you're going to decide where you want your... So guys, this is the skirt here. You see my darts on these two sides here, and then the line here. So guys, it depends on you now how you're going to insert the line. So remember, we still have 1 inch of seam allowance at this edge here, right? We still have our 1 inch of seam allowance right on this side. So guys, now it depends on you where you want yours to start. You want it to start by just directly on the hip, or if you want it to start 1 inch below the hip, so you can just come down. So for me, I'm going to make it 1 inch below the hip, and then come in here by about 4 inches or 5 inches depending on you. So I'm going to just make it 4.5, and then from here you're just going to try to curve it this way up until you get to that line, just like that. So that's basically how I'm going to do mine. You can't make it a straight line. If you make it a straight line, it won't look nice. So you have to curve it all the way up. But don't make it a sharp curve so that you can be able to join it back. So now that I've done this, I'm going to go ahead and cut it open. And then I'm going to trace my fabric on each part. It here, I've cut it, I've separated it here. So when you go to trace it, all you have to do is to trace this pattern and leave half an inch by the edge on this one, and then leave half an inch by the edge. You've added all your seam allowances on the pattern already. The only seam allowance you need now is just the one that you need to be able to join these two together back to make up your skirt. So if you see on this miniature version here, which is what I'm going to be using, I'm going to set this one aside. This is exactly what you have on the other one. So now all I have to do is I have my half an inch at the edge here. I also have this half an inch here. So once I insert my flounce, I'm going to just join these two together, and then it will make up my skirt again. And if you look closely, you will see that I'm using a different color at the bottom and a different color at the top, which is what they did on the skirt. So now the next thing is to cut your flounce, and your flounce is going to be two different colors. The one at the top is going to be this color of the main skirt. The one below, which is going to serve as the lining, is going to be the color of this bottom part of the skirt. If you look at the picture, you will see it's the same thing that they did there. So guys, to cut your flounce, I already have a video on how to cut the flounce. So I'm just going to cut it out. I'm going to also insert a video on how to cut the flounce. So basically, I'm going to find like mark a straight line across this way. Let me mark it with this so you can see a straight line this way, and then a straight line this way, and then I have my circle round this way. So all I have to do is just to connect it from here halfway inside of this circle, and then I'm going to flip it this way. So now from this point, you just go ahead. So you're going to take one quarter of the skirt. So you see I've split 1/4 of this circle. I've split it into 4 this way. So all I have to do now is just to take half of this one now, and then I'm going to go into the next circle, and then you're going to add whatever you want to work with. If it's 6 inches that you want to be the length of the flounce, add 1 inch to it for the seam allowance, half an inch to join the edge to lining, and half an inch to insert it inside of the pattern. So now I'm going to just, because this is I'm going to just use about 2.5 because this is a smaller size. So I'm going to just use 2.5. So now I'm going to mark it all the way around. Guys, this is just to simplify it, but I'm going to just put an insert the link for the tutorial on how to cut a flounce, because if I start cutting flounce all from the beginning here, it will be confused. It will be a lot of Guys, now I'm cutting out my flounce. As you can see, I just started from this half of this side, and then I put in the length I'm working with, then connected it down to this point, and now I'm making my spiral line. So it depends on you how much the length you would need. So you might want to go around this like once or twice. That would be enough. So for me, this is okay. I'm just going to go ahead now and cut out the flounce. So guys, this is it here. I'm going to go ahead now. I've cut out my flounce. Like I said, you can just go around like once this way, because once you stretch it out, you see I have a lot. So you might not want to do too much. So maybe you might go around the spiral length like this halfway through. So once, and then one more time, and it's okay. So now all I have to do now is to close up this edge and then sew it round all the way. So I'm sewing from this edge, close it up, go around this way, and then come back up here, and then I'm going to flip it inside out. Notice the right side is facing each other because this other fabric, so you're going to be using 2 colored fabric for this, remember. So the lower part here is serving as my lining, right? It's serving as the lining, but I'm using it in form of a lining, but it's a Kara fabric also. That's what I'm trying to explain. So it's the second color that you're using that you put below, but make sure that the right side of each of the fabric is facing each other, and then the wrong sides are out. So I'm going to sew close mine now, and then I'm going to show you guys how you're going to attach it. Now I've ironed mine out. You see I've sewn the sides and then ironed it out. You see I closed up the 2 edge, but you have to make sure that whatever you cut will go from here to here. So guys, basically you can't go and sew into the seam allowance, right? That's why you have to close up this edge, because this is going to go into this like this. So I'm not going to sew it into this seam. This is my 1 inch seam allowance, right? I'm not entering into this 1 inch seam allowance, and I'm also not going to sew into my 1 inch of folding the edge, because imagine when you sew into the edge of this here, you can't be able to fold this, right? Except you want to fold it with the flounce, which will not be nice. So you might want to stop 1 or 2 inches before the end of this, because remember wherever this thing ends, this flounce will still drape down after the end of the skirt. So you just have to maybe stop 2 inches before. So it's just a small space that you're cutting flounce for. So you might want, as you're measuring it, you go around this way and figure out, like, before you start cutting your flounce, measure out this part here that you need, the space you need it for, that is from this point to this point, and then measure the spiral that you've gone through, like the rounds that you've gone through, and make sure that it's enough, so that way you don't waste your fabric too. So now all I have to do is just to take this way, insert it here. You see, this side is going to be on this side, and then this bottom part is going to be here. So I'm going to just put this one, this is going to be on this side. So I'm going to just take this way and then sew it down this way inside here, and then use this one on top of it to cover it. So once I finish, it will look like this. So guys, you see what it looks like. This side here has this color, and then this side here has this color. So right now, and as you can see, I gathered mine a little bit. So if you want, you can use just the flounce the way it comes. If you want, you can make it longer so that you can be able to pleat it a little and have more flare. So now all I have to do now is to take the back of my skirt. You see, I've darted the back also, and then place it this way, close up this side and close up this side. So guys, you see my skirt now, this is what it looks like. I've ironed it out, and then all you have to do now is just to fold the edge. Like I said, this flounce here, once I fold this bottom layer now, I'll have my flounce at the edge this way. So just like this is what it looks like. If you want, you can use the same color at the, like, beneath it for the back of your skirt. It depends on you how you want to mix your own color. So now what I'm going to do is just to attach my band. You can use like 5 inches of width for your band, and then whatever waist, you measure around the waist for it, and then you can fold it this way, 1/2 inch on this side, 1/2 inch on this side, fold it into 2, and then just sandwich this in between. Start from one end here, put it using 1/2 inch of seam allowance inside of this, sew it down all the way around. That's how you're going to attach your band. Once you attach it, you put your zip at the back of the skirt, and that's basically it. Guys, this video was just to show you guys how to put in the flounce and on this pattern here. I already have a video on a pencil skirt, on a flounce, so you can just watch that and put it together. So thank you guys so much for watching, and please like, share and subscribe. Bye.